Good evening and welcome to FTB Sports. This is the post-match reaction show for the game WOLFSBERGER versus Spurs in round 32 of the Europa League. And Spurs have won. We've won. 1-4.
Lovely.
It was a game that, as we've talked about on the prediction show, the post-match review, on the review show, that it should have been a standard win for Spurs. And I guess the scoreline suggested it was. Maybe there was a few bits and pieces there that could have been improved on, but like we was all saying beforehand, we've got to take these victories. So I guess we'll start off and get some ideas from you guys what you thought of the game. Mike, what did you think of the game tonight?
It was very much just a job done, wasn't it? Really, it didn't need a spectacular performance. I thought the first 45 minutes were very good. Bale took his I thought he took his goal quite well, to be fair to him. I know you could argue the opposition, you can't really take much from it, but even then, I still reckon that fullback's running into a different postcode. He said him. I think he's still running, mate. He might catch up with Sanchez or something. But no, I thought the first 45 minutes was very good. The second half, the first 10 minutes was sloppy. And they hit the bar. They hit the bar a couple of times in that second half. Yeah. But I think that was probably just the lack of concentration. Maybe Spurs just thought that 3-0 up, game's done already, and I think they were just sort of trying to manage the second half without any sort of injuries or anything like that. So I thought it wasn't a spectacular performance, but then it didn't really need to be. Like I say, just a job done.
Job done. Gerald, was you pleased with the performance?
Yeah, I was. First half, I was. And a bit surprised with the team. No Harry at all. We didn't know that yesterday, I don't think. And
apparently he might be injured. That's what I was reading. Apparently he might have a little bit of an injury.
You know, Højbjerg on the bench and Nabelli on the bench. I think we needed to change it when we did change it. It's sort of when Bergwijn and Lamela came on. Lamela, I thought, was, again, a bit headless chicken. But no, pleased for Gareth. Pleased for Dele. A good win. There was that 10-15 minutes, like Mike said, when they hit the bar, when he should have put it in, and we needed the fourth. But no, overall pleased, and makes next week a lot easier.
Yeah, the game started off well. There seemed to be quite a bit of control from the Spurs team. Got the goals in pretty much quick succession. It looked like it was a rout. We had a few good, I guess, performances in that early part. Like you said, Gareth Bale did seem to perform at a better level than we have done. We always take into consideration the opposition. As I keep saying, this is Wolfsburg, and we always said to ourselves in the preview show that this should be a straightforward victory. Did you see anything in there today, Darius, that kind of makes you think that going forward for I guess the games going forward, that we can maybe pin some more attacking hopes on?
No, I think if you actually look at the actual entirety of the game, I don't actually think it followed a too different of a structure that we normally have in our games. We normally start bright and slow down until obviously either the team scores or something's needed to kind of bolster us again. And that's kind of what happened. Luckily, we're in a 3-0 lead when that happened. And when they scored, it kind of not rejuvenated, but it kind of kicked them in the arse a little bit, told them, like, you don't know what could happen in this game. They could still potentially get back into this. It's 2 legs. So I think that goal, while obviously you don't want to concede a goal, I think it was a little bit helpful in the overall outcome of the match, because it did seem to kind of to switch on the players a little bit. So I don't really take anything from how we're going to play differently, because again, I think the opposition, it shows our starting lineup and how much we dominated in that first half. The opposition just isn't good enough, isn't up to that level. I've seen players in that starting lineup not really play very well against the likes of Brightons and Crystal Palaces, who aren't, I'm not saying they're bad teams, but they are better teams than Wolfsberger, and those players haven't really performed. So I think, again, I said this in the preview, my take on this game was seeing the players who call themselves fringe, who we call fringe players, who might be looking to get into that starting 11, actually perform against teams that we expect them to perform. And they did. I think Dele Alli was one of the best players on the pitch. I think Bale played as well as he could have done. I think everybody probably bar, and I know we shouldn't really look on the negatives, but I just don't think Sissoko had a good game at all. I think he was pretty poor, to be honest. But apart from that, I don't think anybody really was that bad. But I think that is down to the opposition and the quality of them.
See, as I said, I think Dele and Bale getting the start today, they did enough. I think Bale probably, wanted to kind of show that he's still got the ability, and his goal was well taken. He's assisted the first goal for Son as well. So his contribution to the game, with a goal and assist, you could say that that's probably the best of the players that are, I guess fringe players. Dele Alli for me, still there's flashes in there, still trying to do things that I don't think Jose is going to be too happy with. And like you said, Darius, I think Sissoko again in today, I've seen it. The penalty again, we're 3-0 up. You're giving the opposition a foot into this game. They didn't really look like they were going to score. I know they had a few chances and that, but in terms of the control, once you're 3-0 down, you don't need to give them anything. Just keep them out, and you give them that impetus. They scored a penalty. They then start to put the pressure on. And like I keep saying, with a better team where you allow that sort of thing, it just shows you how much pressure that the defenders can't take, if that makes sense. It just seems a little bit, as we've talked about before, the goal goes in, the pressure starts to ramp up. They're a little bit out of kilter for a few minutes, and then they got control back. But they did get control back when they brought on the players likes of Højbjerg and Ndombele. Yeah. So we have to look at our starting 11 and think to ourselves, when we bring in those better players, we do look better in terms of the control. But we did need to see players like Dele and Bale, at least up their game. So, it's good signs. It's good signs. I'm just going to put up, I think I've got some stats from the game, and I'm going to just see if, you can put these up and just see what your thoughts are. So we've got here, I'll just take off this last bit. 38% possession to them, 62 to us, 9 shots, 20. The shots on target is a good stat for me to kind of see. 9 on target for us, which shows improvement. 4 for them, 3 and 2 for the corners. 15, 16 in terms of fouls. So you can see that the game was in our favour, possession-wise. But the shots, I still think of a team like that, for them to get the shots off that he did, I wanted to see more control. Going forward then, who wants to think what we're going to do about the game on Saturday? Is this the sort of performance that you would take into that and think, yeah, it's going to, scare West Ham?
I think West Ham are going to go for it, personally. I think West Ham are going to try and match our energy. I think Jose Mourinho is going to want to start pressing high, pressing intense, like he did in the first game. I think West Ham are going to try and match that. They've made a few signings over the period of time that we played them last that have significantly improved their team. I believe that Ben Rama is going to be quite a problem, and obviously if they've got all their players, Souček, Rice, if their team is what I know their team is to be, and their best team, it's going to be a difficult game. So I think we can't really look at this game too much and then look at the West Ham game, only because I don't think the players that started today are really going to start that West Ham game, bar maybe obviously Lloris and one of the centre backs and Son. Really and truly, do you see any of the other players working their way into that starting 11? Or
well, I was going to ask Gerard the question: was you happy with the starting 11? Because given the fact that Son again started in that central area when we didn't start with Vinicius, although Vinicius got his goal today, is there a case to say that Jose doesn't fancy him, or is it just that Jose thought that Son's going to give a little bit more in that forward area? Because he came out in the press conference and said Son's not a striker. Son's not a striker. He scores lots of goals, but then he plays him as a number 9 today.
Yeah, and I don't think he is a number 9, and but I don't think Vinicius would have scored the goal that he scored. I don't think Vinicius would have got the shots off he got, and I don't think Vinicius would have pulled the defenders one way and gave the space for other attackers the way Sonny does. So going forward, I think it's Sunday lunchtime, the kickoff, isn't it? I think that Højbjerg and Ndombele will make the difference, and I think if they play well and they can control Rice and Souček, the big guy for West Ham, then the game's theirs for us to take in. And what we shouldn't forget is little Jesse, who's been playing a blinder for West Ham so far. So
as crazy as that sounds.
Jesse.
It's crazy.
Jesse Lingard.
But if Højbjerg can control them and keep Rice, defending rather than Rice attacking, because when Rice is going forward and cutting the defence open with his balls through the lines, he can be brilliant. So, but going back to what we said last night, strong win, few goals, different players having a chance. Will Bale maybe get a start ahead of Bergwijn? Don't know, ahead of Moira. Moira, I think all Moira did tonight was the goal, and that was like the defenders backing back, and he lost it a lot, possession. 17 shouldn't be on the pitch, and but I think the confidence from tonight going into Sunday will now be there. And I was just really pleased to see Hugo making some 3 or 4 great saves, a couple, to get his confidence back going into the weekend.
And no mistakes in there. That's the important. There was nothing you can do about that penalty. Mike, what did you think of Harry Winks' performance tonight?
I didn't think he had too bad a game, to be honest. But then again, you have to take into the opposition. You have to take them into sort of regard. But it was a much better performance than what we've seen recently from him. He was certainly the better out of him and Sissoko. And he was trying to play. There was quite a few times when he was, instead of making the pass either backwards or sideways, he was actually making the pass forwards, which sometimes can be questionable from him in his game. But there was a couple of instances that he sort of spread the ball forward, out wide, that I thought was okay. This is a confidence game. I think that's what you can only really put this down to. It's just get a job done, but just be confident. Just get a confident performance out of everyone. And I think in the main, sort of Mourinho got that. I mean, it was a good game for Lloris to make a couple of saves. He could, like you say, he couldn't do anything with the penalty, but I think it was a good confidence booster for him. Maybe I was just going to say maybe the same for Winks, but he won't start against West Ham.
No.
And I think Ali and Bale, I think it was a good confidence booster for them. I thought Bale at times looked very good. He made a couple of dinks over the top of their left back for Doherty to run onto, etc. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe. But I mean, it certainly looked like Bale was feeling or looked more confident today. Whether he starts against West Ham again, that's another matter for itself. But I don't think he did anything wrong for his cause to get a shout.
So for me, there's not looking at the defense, looking at the midfield and the forward line. There's probably 2 places I would say are up for grabs for a starting 11 in general for Spurs, because I think the likes of Kane, Son, Ndombele, Højbjerg are pretty much nailed on all the time to play. So you've got the number 10 position if we play in a 4-2-3-1, and you've also got, I think, a wide right position which is available. Moura, you've got Lamela, you've got Bale, you've got Bergwijn, all probably vying for that position. Ali, again, maybe he's the one that's going to fit into the 10. So going forward for the system, if Jose is now, as he's saying, he's trusting Ndombele more to play in the 2 with Højbjerg, that means that number 10 position, I believe, is open for somebody, whether that's Lamela, whether that's as we talked about, Ali didn't do anything. Yeah, Lo Celso when he comes back in, obviously, but Ali didn't do too much wrong to say to me, he shouldn't start at the weekend. But it just depends on if Jose wants to go a bit more defensive, because as I said, taking into consideration who we played, I think he could afford to be a bit more attacking. Hence the reason why we didn't see Højbjerg or Ndombele start. But we're just going back to that start. Oh, go on. Sorry.
No, all I was just gonna say is I think Ali probably needs a few more games to get minutes under his belt before he gets that match sharpness back.
Sure.
Yeah, I
don't reckon minutes in the Premier League. You can't expect people to perform at their level that you want when they've only played 100.
That's why I don't think Ali will start. Not for the fact that he didn't play well. I just don't think he's quite there in terms of sharpness to warrant a start against West Ham, which is why I think Lamela will probably be that midfield of Lamela, Højbjerg, and Ndombele that'll probably start against West Ham.
Do we not think that Gareth Bale did enough to probably push a starting starting lineup. Jose took him off after 60-something minutes today, and that was either, there was a couple of things in there for me. It was either he thought he's done well enough, because I thought he was playing well. I thought he did enough to kind of continue if he's fit enough to play 90 minutes, which he didn't. So that kind of said to me, well, is he taking him off because he wants to kind of wrap him up, make sure he doesn't get any niggling injuries, or is he looking at him and thinking to himself, I don't think you can go 90 minutes, son. I'll get you off after 60 odd. I don't know what it was, because Gareth came off. He didn't seem to be tired. He didn't seem fatigued. He wasn't overly impressed he was coming off. I've seen him come off in games before and he's jogged off and he's like, I'm all right. I don't mind coming off. He looked like today was like, you know what I mean? So I don't know if there was anything to read into that. Do you think there's anything in that, Darius?
I don't know. I think Bale will get minutes in that West Ham game. Whether he starts or not, I don't know. I think it's based on how Jose really wants to approach the game. If he wants to approach the game with a high intensity at the start, I don't think Bale's going to start, because I don't think Bale can press very efficiently, if that makes sense. I just don't think that when he presses, he doesn't close players down. He kind of does what you say Ali does, Sam, where he'll press because he has to. And Mourinho will get angry if he doesn't. There's not really conviction. When Son presses, there's conviction, and every press that Son does is conviction. He wants to try and win the ball. So I think it depends on how he wants to approach the game. I think he's going to approach the game quite intensely in the first half. So I don't think Bale's going to start. However, if West Ham are chasing the game, there's room in that game for Bale to make a mark and to leave an impact. And I think if that game starts to open up slightly, Bale coming on in the 65th minute might actually be beneficial for him in terms of having a better performance and starting, just because the energy levels of all the players around him is kind of going to be on a similar level. So if he's playing against players who would maybe have a bit tired legs, have to chase the game, he might be able to find pockets of space a little bit easier. And if he does play in that central role, maybe more forward, then you never know with Bale, he can pull something out of anything. So I think he's a different entity. I don't think you can really start Bale. I think Bale has a role similar to Cavani, where he would start if he's playing well. And if he's not, it's not really a problem if he doesn't. I think Ali's the one where you kind of have to look and say, he needs to start picking up those performances now. He's got no excuses. He's 24 years old. He's got a fight for his... Do
you not think that Gareth Bale, how he played today in comparison to Lucas Moura? I know Lucas Moura scored the goal, but he, as we've talked about, he looked like a bit of a headless chicken running through, and he got a couple of ricochets. The ball was still at his feet, and he put it away. He put it away well. Goalkeeper was kind of weight on the other foot. But again, Moura doesn't convince me that he's got the nous, that sort of trickery that, he doesn't always know what he's doing, if that means. So he kind of gets the ball, runs with it, runs. Oh shit, I'm through. I'm not through. Falls over. Gareth Bale was a little bit more composed. He did things today there. The way he sat that guy down, we talked about it before. He sat him down and put the ball in the back of the net, as you would expect Gareth Bale to do, going back 3, 4, 5 years. So it might be that, he's done enough to maybe justify that right-hand start.
What I will say to that is, and for me, it goes down to the point of when you have a player like Gareth Bale, and if you look at Juventus with Ronaldo and Barcelona with Messi, these are players who carry they carry an aura around them, where they aren't necessarily going to be expected to work hard, because they're kind of going to bring that quality and bring something else to the team. So when you're playing people like Bale, you don't really expect Bale to work hard for the team, and it leaves your team with 10 men effectively in the defensive way of football, in the defensive phase of your match. So for me, if Bale's output isn't high, if he's not scoring and assisting, I don't think it's worth playing him because of his defensive output. I don't think he will work hard enough to warrant him starting, as opposed to Lucas Moura, where I know quality-wise he's not as good as Bale, but he's going to work harder than Bale, and he's going to get back and support our left back in, or maybe our left back if he plays on the left, but our right back in Doherty or Aurier, who necessarily we can't always trust the Spurs fans defensively. So that's my only reason when I think about Gareth Bale now. It's I don't mind Gareth Bale starting and not really working hard if he was scoring 2 goals, maybe 2 goals every game, or a goal or assist a game. I wouldn't mind that, because his output is justifying him not really working hard, but he's not really been doing that. So I would personally rather, especially in a game like West Ham, have somebody who might not be better quality-wise, but who will work harder for the team and support and help out our fullbacks, who, if we don't have Reggie on and Aurier doesn't play, that is our weakest part of the team. So we do.
So even if what I was going to say, you can answer this then, Gerard. Even if let's say Kane was injured, would there still not be a case for Gareth Bale to start then?
I think there would if Kane was injured, and I'm thinking and I'm hoping Reguilón's back for the weekend, isn't he?
I hope so.
Yeah.
Potentially. Although Jose was very coy about it in his press interview, saying, "Oh, I'm not sure." But I think again, he's going to do that thing where he's going to say Kane's injured, Reguilón's not, and then all of a sudden these guys are bright as a button when they come on Sunday.
Plays out on the left or the right, Bale, Bergwijn, Lamela, who I hope it isn't Lamela. Think of the output and the finished, the finished article, the last ball, and you've got to put Bale ahead of all of them for the last.
I agree.
Lamela again, he's like the headless chicken. He's running around and then suddenly his arms are in the air and he's down and all this stuff. He's like Richarlison from Everton. They spend more time looking at everybody. But here you go. Start with a 3 at the back. Let Doherty play in his natural position. Let Reguilón play ahead of Davis. Push him forward. Give Bale a chance. And let's go back to the City game, that 15-minute cameo from Bale, where we all got a little bit excited with a couple of little dribbles through. Look at when he set up the first goal tonight. He scored a cracking wonder goal, again tonight. Irrelevant of the defence, he still had to put it in, tight angle.
Oh, yeah.
Start him and go at West Ham from the first minute and see where we go, because we know they're solid in the middle. We know they've got Jesse now dinking around and doing his stuff behind the centre back, but was behind the centre forward. So I'm thinking if Reguilón's fit, and Doherty tonight again played as a wing back, but he wasn't positioned as a wing back.
Yeah,
he was okay as well today. He wasn't actually as bad as he normally is. He was okay.
He was playing. He was beyond the halfway line near the whole game. He didn't have to defend. So
I was going to ask the question. What did you guys think of the defense tonight? Because I noticed that it went back to a bit more of a lopsided attacking from a defensive point of view. And the reason why that was is because we had more control. The possession stats show that we had more control of the game. So it allowed Doherty to be further up the pitch, which then meant that Ben Davies did stay back a little bit more. You didn't really see Ben Davies too much getting the balls in the box, although he had a couple of crosses. He was more, that 3 at the back. So again, we've talked about on talking points. What was the case for the defense today? Who of that lineup should be in Sunday's lineup, I guess? Because I'm looking at it from a point of, I don't think he rested Sanchez with a view to playing on Saturday. I hope he didn't.
I think he has.
If he has, then that means it's going to be one of them other two that's going to be, because I don't think he's playing Rodon anymore. For whatever reason, he doesn't seem to be playing Rodon, because Rodon is ineligible. My words these last few days. He's ineligible to play in the Europa. Yeah. So again, you would have thought, is he going to play against the likes of West Ham? And all the noises that you seem to be getting, no, I'm not sure that's going to be the case. So is there a case for any of those 4 defenders that have nailed on a spot for Sunday?
Surely Toby has to start.
I think Dyer has to start. I thought they were strong, not up against much tonight. But you just feel a bit more confident with those two, don't you?
It's just I think that's exactly what I said to Sam when we were watching the game. It was, for me, it was the composure. Even though I don't think necessarily Dyer had the greatest game, he was getting caught out a lot with balls in the box and stuff. But it was the composure of the entire back line. To be fair, I'll give them all credit, and Lloris as well. It just seemed like there wasn't really going to be a mistake, and even when that first goal went in, they did. You know what I mean? They held out. They were still cool enough to not kind of do what I've seen. And I don't want to put all the blame on Sanchez, because it is a partnership at the end of the day. But normally when we go down, it's like you said, eyes start to broaden and mistakes start to enter their performance in their game. So that didn't really happen as much. So I think composure-wise, Toby and Dyer are the best partnership, but it just lacks pace. And
if you think about West Ham, Antonio, short, big legs,
I think Antonio would bully Dyer.
Well, I think you need Dyer and Toby to be tough against them two.
Yeah, I wouldn't want Sanchez in that back line against Antonio.
I want Rodon, but we're not going to get Rodon, are we?
No.
See, it was again. Although it was a decent performance from the defense, I think a confidence. You can see there's a confidence issue, because when that penalty was given, I know it wasn't given away by a defender; it was given away by Sissoko. God bless him. But then they scored the penalty, and then for that few minutes, they did look a little bit rattled. You could kind of see, hold on a minute, this team they weren't doing this before. Now all of a sudden, oh, they've hit the crossbar.
Did they hit the bar? Yeah. Did they hit the bar after the penalty? Was that
Yeah. That was after the penalty. So and again, you always. I don't think there's any level. Even when we played Marine, you know, they had that opportunity to score, and it was like, oh my god. So even really lower strength opposition will always give you some form of defensive things to do. So yeah, they got a bit rattled. They did seem to get it back, but was that more a combination of then when the midfield was changed, when you put on Højbjerg and Ndombele, that we got more control back? Because I would have liked to have, well, I don't think I would have liked to have seen it, but certainly had that game continued with Winks and Sissoko in there, I just think we'd have been under a bit more pressure to kind of, you know, hold on, because there was always a mistake. There's always a mistake in Sissoko. And at times, Dyer looks like there's always a bit of a mistake in him. There was one opportunity that the guy had on the right-hand side. I know it went out for a throw, but he beat him. But luckily, it went out for a throw, and I was like, "Oh yeah!" If you'd have passed him, then he was on.
And when Lloris saved that one against the ball, I don't know how he can't predict his headers, but every single time the ball goes over his head, he's always never in the right position to head a ball out clear, and that might be the reason why we can see from free kicks and set pieces so much.
Yeah, there is a few things. Well, I'm going to go around and ask you just to give your final thoughts, each of you, on the performance, as long or as short as you want. We'll start with you, Darius. What's your overall view of the performance there, and obviously looking forward to the game on Sunday?
Keep it short. So I'm going to start negatives. Get the negatives out of the way. Number one, Uncle Sissoko. I'm sorry, but you can't play anymore, my friend. You're a great mascot. You're a great support. You're great in the dressing room, but after today against Wolfsberger, he was awful, and he can't play anymore, unfortunately. So let's get those negatives out of the way. Positives, I really say Lloris was a positive because he made a few really good saves.
That was a great save, the one he tipped onto the bar.
Yeah, that will give him confidence, a lot of confidence now. He's, like we said, he's a World Cup winning captain of France. He doesn't need to be told about that. He knows how to get himself out of those situations. I think, we need to look at the opposition and think, it's the opposition, it's Wolfsberger. We should have won this game, but there were good performances and there were no individual errors. I think that is my main taking point. There was no individual errors. So if we can keep that going into the apart from Sissoko, Uncle's uncle. We let him do his thing. Apart from that, I think we just have to take that into Sunday's game. We can't perform like we did against West Ham in the previous game. That can't happen again, because if that does happen again, or even if West Ham get a result against us, just in general, I don't want that to happen. I think it's such a massive game, the West Ham game, just because of that 3-3. So I just want to see, and this is one of the games where the result for me is the main thing. I won't actually mind a bad performance 100%. If we get a result. It's one of those games where if West Ham want to bring it to us and we want to let them, and we want to play 4-4-2, so be it. If we win the game, I'll be happy. So that's my thing. It's let's just win this game on Sunday, and then let's also just not make any silly mistakes next Wednesday as well. Let's just get that out of the way and go on to the next one, because there's a lot of good teams in this Europa League. I keep saying this Europa League is going to be a challenge. It's going to be a very big challenge to win it.
It's a very good competition to win if we can win it. There's a long way to go still. Gerard, overview on the game and thoughts about Saturday?
We wanted to win. We got to win. We said potentially 4-1 last night, and guess what? I'll take that.
I'll take it. I got the 3-goal difference. That's what I got. I said 3-0.
Highlights: Lloris strong again. Bale okay. Dele all right. Showed again the strength of Ndombele and Højbjerg when they came on, and I think that's the momentum going in. And I think if he doesn't mess it out and try and change the team too much, maybe gives Bale a start, then I think it's all to pay for. And when we look at what a win could do against West Ham, if we can beat them, then we win the game in hand, we'll be above them. We can go back above Villa, keep Arsenal behind us.
Yeah, they also play City as well on the weekend, don't they? So
it's a massive Sunday lunchtime, and I want my Sunday lunch to taste a bit nicer after we win that match, eh? Come on.
Do we ever?
Yeah.
Mike, what's your final thoughts on the game and obviously the big one on Sunday?
Well, I suppose the guys have pretty much hit the nail on the head with the individuals that sort of performed better than recently. I It was a good performance, solid performance. There was a spell of 10-15 minutes that was a little bit shaky, but other than that, they got the job done. Makes life easier for the return leg at home, you'd like to think. No injuries, that's always a plus. And hopefully they can take this as a confidence factor into the West Ham game, which I think will be, if we didn't get a great result today, or if we conceded a few goals, that would have been could have been a sticky point for us going into the West Ham game. But the fact that we only conceded a penalty, which, okay, Mr. Sissoko conceded it, but the defence didn't really put anything. They didn't put a foot wrong, really. So yeah, hopefully we go into West Ham game feeling confident we can get those 3 points that we need.
Yeah, I'm looking at the starting 11, and there's a lot of players who won't be playing on Sunday. In terms of the overall performance, it was an okay performance. I think the first half was definitely better than the second half. I thought there was good performances from the likes of Dele Alli and Bale. Doherty again was more attacking, was better, but again, I don't think he had too much problems on that right hand side for Wolfsberg left going forward. Ben Davies was solid. My thoughts now going forward to the game on Sunday is, of that back four, let's say Aurier, because Aurier wasn't in the squad today, Reguilon as well. Those two, if fit, would have to come back in place of Doherty and Davies. It's then, who do you play at centre back? Is it gonna? And I would be more inclined now to probably keep the two that played tonight, because I don't believe you can then not play them two and then play Rodon and Sanchez on Sunday. Not a chance in hell.
No.
The midfield two picks itself. It's going to be interesting, that position in front of Højbjerg and Ndombele for me. I just don't know.
Who do you think's going to get it?
I just don't know. I think it's Lamela. I personally think it's Lamela.
I was going to say Lamela as well.
If you look at the last 3 games, he's been good. He may be a headless chicken, but sometimes
like
you need that in a
chaos,
team,
isn't it? Is that what Jose said? It was like organized chaos or something that Lamela brings.
Yeah,
but if he's unpredictable, you need that unpredictability. And
but so does Dele Alli. Dele Alli gives you that as well.
But Lamela looks sharper and he looks fitter and he's pressing games far better than Ali's. And
what does he finish? What does he give? Where's that cutting ball? It just doesn't happen.
Well, he's teed up a couple of. He's got a couple of assists on his in the last couple of games, and he scored as well against Man City. Was it against Man City? No, Everton. Sorry, against Everton. To get us back in. So he has got it in his locker. I would go with Lamela myself.
And again,
the energy he brings.
It is the energy factor that he brings. And do we look at that as being something that should get you a starting position? I know, because if you said that, then you're going to be starting the likes of Lamela and Mora all the time. You've got busy players in that team who do that. Maybe we need a little bit more. I can see both sides, and I can see your side as well, Mike, in terms of Lamela. And I think that's probably what will be the start, because Jose is going to think to himself, he could probably bring someone like Ali on if he needs to do something different. Whereas if you're bringing someone like Lamela on, you kind of bringing him on too late. So he's not a player that I think you're going to, although saying that, he has brought him on to chase games before. So it's a weird situation for him.
It is based on the game, isn't it? How the game goes and how he wants to approach the game.
I just think the balance of the team, since Lamela and Moore have come back into the team, the balance, we just look better balanced than we have done, well, in 2021 so far. So and I don't, like you say, Moore is that right wing spot's probably the spot that is the most up for grabs, and you just don't know what Mourinho will do there. He could put anyone on that right wing, really. There's 3 players that he could choose from.
Yeah.
All not right wingers, to be fair, apart from Bale. That's the problem as well.
And you can argue that Bale.
Bergwijn started off all right at the beginning of the season. Like again, his final ball, his assists, his goals are not high enough in me for someone who's in that front lineup. But he does a lot of the dirtier stuff which Jose wants from his players. And this is what I'm saying about West Ham now. It's a game that we have to win. It does depend on the approach. Is he going to go for a more of a soak it up hit them on the counter. But I don't see West Ham being a team that's going to be a front foot team. I think they're going to do exactly what we do to them, or would want to do to them. You know?
And I think he'll stick with this formation that we seem to be going with at the moment, the 4-2-3-1. I think we're better balanced 4-2-3-1. When we play 3 or 5 at the back, or the 3-4-3, that's just not us. We haven't got those players really that you could arguably be comfortable with, especially the 3 at the back. I think the 4-2-3-1 just gives us more balance.
It does. It definitely does. The 4-2-3-1 is Jose's preferred formation anyway. What he had problems with earlier on in the season was not being able to play Ndombele alongside Højbjerg. So we always had to then compensate by having Sissoko or Winks next to him, which meant Ndombele was further forward. We can't create as much play going from build up from the back, because I don't believe that Sissoko definitely isn't a good build up play. He doesn't really know what to do. Winks marginally better. Højbjerg and Ndombele give you both good outlets to play out from the back and then to play through midfield into your forward lines. For that reason, I agree. I think it's probably going to be Lamela that makes that start in that 10. It's whoever starts on that right-hand side. I'd like to see Gareth Bale start. If I'm honest with you, after tonight, I'd like to see him get that start.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah,
just to see if he's got it now, because he's got the confidence. He's got a goal. He's got an assist. He played nearly 70 minutes. He got taken off. We don't know the reasons why he was taken off, but now he's like, okay, I've shown you this much. Let me show you what I can now do against Premier League opposition. And it's West Ham. It's not like it's City or it's Man United or Liverpool. West Ham, I know they're flying high, but it's West Ham still. Come on.
Remember what Bale did against West Ham before as well. That absolute banger. I hope he does that again.
He loves scoring against them, doesn't he?
That top bins. I'll never forget that top bins goal.
He really
needs to bring that out the bag again, hopefully.
Yeah.
I mean, even if we only get 50, 60 minutes out of him, we get a good solid 60 minutes out of him, then I don't think you can sort of ask for anything more than that. As long as he does his job and performs well, 60 minutes, I'll take that from him for sort of like first proper Premier League start. Because you can always build upon that. So
yeah. Well, if you got Bell playing 60 minutes and he gets a goal and assist like he did today, you'd take that all. So there's no argument in terms of his contribution tonight. It's whether or not he can do that at the next level. With the next level up is going to be the Premier League. So we'll see. Yeah. Gentlemen, it's been fantastic as always. Everybody out there watching, thank you for watching FTB Sports. This is the Tottenham Hotspur Reaction Show. Join us, should we say, for our shows coming up, preview show and reaction show, and also talking points later in the week as well. I think we're done now. Let's go and see if the Arsenal can be beaten. Anybody know what the score is on that one?
Still? I'm about to check right now.
Hopefully,
half time 0-0 at the moment.
0-0. Boring Arsenal, as per usual. Like, subscribe, comment, please share as much as you can. And if you want to know when these shows are coming up, hit that notification button as well. Tune into FTB Sports. There's plenty of other shows going on. There's probably one on now regarding the Man United reaction. But we're dealing with Tottenham on all things Tottenham. So please tune in for us for further shows. Gentlemen, take care. We're going out and we'll see you guys at the weekend.